radiation all the time. So that's why we kind of do a quick flyby and then get out to be able to downlink all of our science data and do other engineering activities when we're outside of that radiation environment.
Yeah, I want to point out again how much science and skill goes into designing a trajectory like this so that we protect the spacecraft when it gets there.
Absolutely. And it doesn't happen by accident. We have to continually fire our thrusters to be able to maintain this trajectory.
Yeah, it's also very pretty.
It is.
All right, we're now 39 minutes to launch here at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Let's head back over to Tony.
Thanks, Megan. Joining me is Dr. Gina DiBraccio, the acting director for the Planetary Science Division within NASA Science Mission Director. Gina,
thanks,
how are you
Megan.
Today? Joining me is Dr.
Tony,
Gina
I'm just so excited to be here and see all of the amazing hullabaloo that's going on for this launch today.
Me too. I'm very excited indeed.
हेलो हेलो एक सेकेंड. हाँ, अब शायद आ रही होगी आवाज़. 1 मिनट बताना, आवाज़ आ रही नहीं आ रही, जल्दी से बता. कोई टेस्ट फोटोग्राफी, हाँ कहा था, ऐसा क्यों किया पर.
But we're trying to see if this ocean world is habitable. And that means we're looking for the water. We're trying to constrain the ocean underneath that icy surface. We're looking for energy sources, and we're really looking for the chemistry there so that we can understand what habitable environments might be throughout our whole universe.
That is very exciting indeed. I cannot wait to discover what we find out. Gina, thank you so much for joining us. Sending it back over to you, Megan.
And people from all over the world watching today's launch, so we invited you guys.
37 मिनट्स में सबसे पहले वीडियो क्वालिटी को थोड़ा ठीक ठाक ही करो, क्योंकि अभी नेटवर्क अच्छा नहीं चल रहा ना. अब मैं क्या ही कहूँ.
Turn back to Earth for the data.
Well, it's good that we don't, because otherwise we'd have that long 5.5 year journey all the way back to Earth to get the data back. So we actually have a really big antenna on the spacecraft called our high gain antenna. If you've seen the photos of the spacecraft, it's the big silver disc in the middle. That's our antenna. 5 minutes for their hello to come back. So it does take a little bit of time.
But still, 45 minutes versus 5.5 years. Like, yes. That's very impressive.
Exactly.
All right, let's take another question. This is also on Instagram. What are some of the technologies on board to help with new discoveries?
Yeah, so if you stick around later in the broadcast, we're going to talk about all of the instrumentation that's on board.
अपनी ऑडियो चेक करनी है, ऑडियो आ रही नहीं आ रही मेरी. अभी भी समझ नहीं आ रहा मेरे को, मेरी ऑडियो आ रही है नहीं आ रही है, क्या हो रहा है. हेलो, मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है. हेलो 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 हेलो, आ रही है. हेलो हेलो, रुको यार, फिर एक सेकंड, हमको ये जो है ना, एक न्यू करना पड़ेगा. ओके, यस सर. प्यू बैम बैम. ओके, माइक क्यों नहीं हो रहा मेरा भाई. प्रॉपर्टीज.
Yes.
And go.
Load. And we can see on our displays, which have an interface that shows us and confirms that indeed stage 2 has begun RP1 prop load. Again, stage 2 has begun that prop load. This is an autonomous process, so we won't always hear a call out.
Yeah, correct. The SpaceX team has software that controls their fueling and gets things going. As we see RP1 on the 3 boosters, locks on the 3 boosters, and now we're starting to put RP1 in the second stage RP1 tank, and things are progressing very well towards launch at 12:06.
And Mick, this is just the 11th launch of a Falcon Heavy, so this is a special occasion. SpaceX launches a lot of rockets. They're approaching something like 400 launches. So this 11th of a Falcon Heavy is really key. They also did some special work on this launch for this spacecraft by putting something together for its necessary cooling. The Europa Clipper spacecraft has some very tight requirements when it comes to cooling and to purity of the air in there. It has to have high-grade nitrogen flowed in there, and they built something called an octonozzle, which is literally, I'm going to make it with my hands, 3 nozzles that are pushing air onto the radiators of the spacecraft.
Yeah, the team has to meet planetary protection requirements. As you mentioned, Europa Clipper has some strict requirements for the environmental control system within the fairing. And so this is just one of those things that SpaceX came up with to be able to get the ECS and GN2 flowing in the fairing around Europa Clipper to maintain all those requirements. Ingenious thing that they've done to make sure they can keep Europa Clipper within limits.
Europa Clipper sitting at the top of this Falcon Heavy rocket, and indeed, the spacecraft team has also been getting and configuring this spacecraft to get it ready for launch.
Yeah, team's been working great. We've been listening to the spacecraft team configure Europa Clipper, getting things ready to go. Later in the count, we'll hear them go on internal power. So continuing to follow their procedures and work all they need to do to make sure Europa is ready for launch at 12:06 p.m. today.
All right, and we're waiting that T0 at T-minus 32 minutes and counting. We'll send it back to Megan and Jenny.
Great news that fueling continues to go well on the rocket. As for the spacecraft, let's get back to Raquel for another check.
Megan, Mission Control has been conducting readiness polls, team-wide check-ins before launch to confirm everything is good to go. The activity lead is making sure the launch-specific software is ready to run, and after liftoff, she'll be monitoring it to ensure everything on board is working as expected. While Mission Control takes care of those final details, let's take a closer look at why Europa is the focus of this mission. Earlier, I spoke with Europa Clipper Deputy Project Scientist Bonnie Barati, who gives us a glimpse of what's beneath the moon's icy crust. Bonnie, we are here with a model of Europa that shows us the layers that we can see underneath its crust. First, before we get to it, can you tell us about the characteristics of the moon?
Europa is one of the large icy moons of Jupiter. There are 4. They were discovered by Galileo.
अब मैंने कुछ तो सेटिंग्स की हैं, आप देखते हो मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है नहीं आ रही। हाँ चलो मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है, चलो लेट्स गो। तो ये अभी जो है ये अभी कोई आया नहीं है, 2 लोग हैं। अब मेरी मतलब आवाज़ आ रही है तो अब आप बात कर सकते हैं मेरे से, तो फाइनली। और हाँ, मैं ये भी कहना चाहता हूँ कि मैं वो आज सैटर्न ऑकल्टेशन कैप्चर करना थोड़ा मुश्किल ही होगा, बिकॉज मेरे को बुखार हो रहा है और मैं बैठा बैठा ये भी लाइव कर रहा हूँ। एक मैं सबसे पहले पोस्ट डाल देता हूँ, कैमरा स्टोरी बूम क्लिक हो जाएगा भाई। हाँ, हमको डालना है एक लिंक, वैसे तो कॉपी करना पड़ेगा कुत्ते। link, bam. ओके, तो मैंने अभी पोस्ट डाल दिया है स्टोरी पे।
Great. Thank you so much, Bonnie.
Thank you so much, Raquel.
कम आ रही है इसकी, मैंने अभी चेक किया।
Now, you just heard in that video that Europa and our moon are roughly the same size, but they could not be more different when it comes to water. Europa is believed to have twice as much water as Earth, while our moon has a fraction of that. NASA wants to learn how to use our moon's water to live and work there.
ये क्या है?
The Europa Clipper mission will explore whether there's an ocean beneath Europa's icy crust. If it finds one, along with energy and organic molecules, then there would be the right ingredients for life. NASA has long been on a quest to find life beyond Earth to better understand how we came to be. NASA is also focusing on the water on our own moon in preparation for future Artemis missions. Artemis will mark the first time astronauts return to the lunar surface in over 50 years to eventually send people to Mars. Water plays a key role in this plan. If NASA can figure out how to harvest and use the moon's water, astronauts could drink it, turn it into breathable air, or even use it for rocket fuel. Scientists think the moon's poles might have tons of ice, while the sunlit areas have a lot less water, about 100 times less than the Sahara Desert. Artemis 2 will be NASA's first crewed mission under the campaign and will pave the way for the first woman, first person of color, and first international partner astronaut to land on the lunar surface. That's your Artemis Moon Minute. You know, Jenny, it's just incredible to see all that NASA is trying to accomplish across our solar system.
It really is amazing, and all of these different missions and all the things that NASA is trying to do, they really play into each other. Everything that we learn about the moon is going to help us understand things about our solar system, and it all just kind of feeds into each other.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And actually, to hear more about some of our agency's goals, let's head back to Tony with her next guest.
Thanks, Megan. Joining me is NASA Associate Administrator Jim Free and NASA Chief Scientist Dr. Kate Calvin. Thank you both so much for being with us here today. You know, Jim, can you tell us a little bit more about why the Europa Clipper mission is so important for the space agency?
Sure, absolutely. So everywhere on Earth that we find water, we find life. And we believe that Europa has the conditions that are suitable for life: the water, the energy, the chemistry, the stability. And that is, first of all, very exciting from a scientific perspective as I stand next to the chief scientist, but it's also just exciting about what we're going to learn about Earth itself and just how this advances the field of astrobiology as well. So it really does go to our innovating in air and space at NASA.
Absolutely. And Kate, you know, Hurricane Milton delayed the launch of Europa Clipper, and already this year there have been 13 named storms, with another hitting Florida only a few weeks ago. As we get ready to send the spacecraft to study its ocean world, its climate and environment, can you reflect on our own climate and the increase in storm activity?
Yeah, so Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Helene before it had devastating impacts across Florida and throughout the Southeast. And our focus right now is making sure that we can get information to first responders so they can help with recovery efforts. At the same time, scientists are studying hurricanes so that we can better understand how they form, how they've changed over time, and use that information to better predict future storms and plan for the future. And what we know is that climate change is leading to a higher proportion of strong hurricanes. So of the hurricanes that form, more of them are categories 3 through 5. And we're also seeing more heavy precipitation events, so more heavy rainfall associated with hurricanes, which can have really severe flooding effects. And so we're focused now on helping first responders, but also thinking about how we can better plan and prepare for the future.
Absolutely. Jim, going back to Europa, is Europa one day, a target or a goal, a destination that NASA is perhaps one day interested in sending astronauts to?
It's not a very kind place for human beings with the radiation environment that it has. So What it does set up for is our robotic explorers, which we have done throughout the entire solar system, and now with Voyagers even going beyond that. But while Europa Clipper is exploring Europa, we'll have crews at the moon, further understanding the formation of the moon and how the formation of the solar system as well. So it's a complementary effort that goes to our whys at NASA, which is science, national posture, and inspiration. So we'll be doing that with both the Artemis and the Europa missions.
Thank you guys both so much for joining us. Megan, back over to you.
Now, the Europa Clipper mission has captured the attentions of people all over the world, even a beloved coach from the show, Ted Lasso.
एक सेकेंड मैं अपने जीपीयू को लगा देता हूँ इस पे ये कहते हैं इसको ये है गूगल क्रोम और OBS स्टूडियो तो अभी मैं अपने जीपीयू पे ऊपर वर्क करने वाला हूँ ये सब ये लो जब तक आपके लिए मैं सबके लिए प्ले
There must be a sense of curiosity in order to push the boundaries of exploration, pushing people to ask new questions and seek answers to the unknown. And there must be kindness, a willingness to respect each other's contributions in a supportive environment where innovation thrives. Thank you so much to everyone involved in NASA's Europa Clipper mission. This historical project is an inspiration to the country and the world. Teamwork, belief, curiosity, kindness. They can take us a long way, all the way to the moons of Jupiter, which are out there at that Europa Clipper, baby.
Okay, I love that. I love the Europa Clipper
great.
baby at
So
the end. But also, like, yes, while funny, I mean, he really touched a lot on, you know, the things that matter to this team: teamwork, belief, curiosity, all those things.
Absolutely, he really gets it. You know that this mission is spacecraft hardware, but it's really the people, right? There's so many people involved in building this thing, and yeah, it's amazing.
Specifically, when he said kindness, you reacted to that. What about that particular word really spoke to you out of that story?
Yeah, I think it just really speaks to the humanity. You know, we are all humans. We're trying to do good things here, and when we're kind to each other, it really makes a difference. So him kind of acknowledging how important that is for our team to work well together, yeah, it just means a lot.
Yeah, that was a good pep talk.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks. All right, so we are now 22 minutes from liftoff, and we have some time now to take some more of your questions about Europa Clipper Live. So let's roll one video that we have now.
Hello, my name is Liam. I'm in the 8th grade, and I was curious to know, is there any land under the oceans of Europa?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and we do get that question a lot. So there is actually some land underneath the ocean. So if you imagine you're on the Earth, and you're in the center of the Earth, and you kind of come up to the surface, maybe at the North Pole. First, you'd be at the very center where it's really warm, then you'd go through a rocky layer, then some water, and then the ice. That layer structure is very similar to what we see on Europa. So underneath the ocean, there is this big rocky mantle, and actually we think that there may be hydrothermal vents on the floor of the ocean, just like there are on Earth, and that's where life may exist.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
We can probably squeeze in one more. This one's also
Sure.
on Instagram. Do rockets travel at the same speed in outer space?
It's a great question. So when they're traveling through the atmosphere, the air slows them down. They have resistance from the air, but once you get into space, you can go a little bit faster for the same amount of, boost. Additionally, once we get into space, our spacecraft is going to go about somewhere between 10,000 miles an hour and 100,000 miles an hour, depending on where it is in the solar system. So we kind of have a huge variety of speeds that we end up at getting out to Jupiter.
Wow, thank you for that. Again, thank you for your questions. #AskNASA. Okay, we're coming up on another fueling milestone. Let's check back in with Daryl and Mick.
All right, thank you very much. And fueling going well right now. We're watching some telemetry on our screens right now. We've got RP1 on the first stage, about 75% complete, about 70% complete on LOX also on the first stage, but we're almost done loading the RP1 on the second stage.
Yeah, stage 2 RP1 load complete, should be finishing up here shortly and getting ready for LOX load on stage 2. So things continuing.
RP1 load is complete.
There we hear the call out for the complete of RP1 on stage 2, but things are moving forward with propellant loading, getting ready for launch.
And now you see that LOX being vented out of the booster, which is condensing the warm Florida air here, which we have a beautiful day today, so it's really the only cloud that's in sight.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sight that you see there on your picture of on the screen of Falcon Heavy, looking really good as propellant load continues.
As we look up there, you can see towards the top where Europa Clipper, the spacecraft and the star of the show, is sitting inside of its fairing. You can see the NASA logo at the top, and on this view you can see the Europa Clipper logo, which is just below it, which is a pretty neat design that they made. I want to give you a little closer look at it. It was designed by the JPL team. Cynthia Phillips says she designed it to be something beautiful, something abstract and representational. We actually have a shot of that graphic, if we could pull that up. And there it is. It's a nice logo. The blue-white color scheme represents water ice. The elements on Europa being studied by the spacecraft. The shape looks like a snowflake or an ice crystal. And those two V-shaped portions represent the flybys, each pass of Clipper as it swoops in and then retreats. And then the dot in the center can be Europa, and the star shape can be the spacecraft. They put a lot of thought and design into this logo.
Yeah, it's a beautiful logo. Everybody is on board. It's just incredible to me how much the team, the community, and everybody's just excited about this mission in science, as Jenny was saying. And I know she's excited for this also, she and the JPL team. But beautiful logo.
Yep, looks good on a T-shirt and on the side of the rocket.
Stage 2 LOX load has started.
And there goes Stage 2 LOX load. So the final tank that needed to be filled.
Okay. So, okay. यार ये
We pin quick wishes on stars. From Earth, we read the sky as if it is an unerring book of the universe. Expert.
Okay. अब एक सेकेंड. हाँ, अब शायद आ रही होगी अब मेरी आवाज़. बताना जरा मेरे को. क्योंकि अब मैंने इसको अपने डेस्कटॉप की ऑडियो में कर लिया है, क्योंकि पहले मैं हेडफोन में हो रहा था. हाँ, मेरी आवाज़ डबल आ रही है. हाँ, डबल आ रही है. जो माइक एक सेकेंड. हाँ, ओके. Not this.
And evident.
Okay.
Still,
इसको थोड़ा सा कम कर देते हैं. ओके. हाँ, तो एक सेकेंड. हाँ, अरे हो जाए मेरे भाई. नासा वाले बहुत खतरनाक है. ओ 16 मिनट दे रहे हैं. किसने कैप्चर किया है? कॉमेट कैप्चर कर लिया है. अच्छा, किसने कैप्चर कर लिया कॉमेट? देखो, मैंने तो नहीं किया है. मेरे में तो इतनी ज़्यादा क्लाउड की प्रॉब्लम आई है ना, बता नहीं सकता हूँ मैं. मतलब कि पहले जब सुबह का समय था तब क्लाउड, और फिर बाद में अब शाम का समय होता है तब क्लाउड. अब अभी एस्ट्रो ऑब्जर्वर ने किया है, और शायद हाँ, और शायद एस्ट्रो हर्ष ने भी किया था. एस्ट्रो ऑब्जर्वर ने तो किया ही किया है, और एस्ट्रो नहीं, स्टार टाइटन ने भी किया था, और एस्ट्रो बीनव ने भी किया. हाँ, स्टोरी डाली आज, वही देखने चेक कर रहा था मैं. और हमारे प्यारे आकाश दर्शन भाई ने तो किया ही किया है. और ये नेटवर्क में इतनी प्रॉब्लम क्यों आ रही है? मैं जियो वाले को गोली मार दूंगा. मून एंड सैटर्न कंजक्शन, अच्छा हाँ, मून एंड सैटर्न का जो कंजक्शन है ना, उसकी जो है ना वो थोड़ी गड़बड़ी हो गई है। देखो मेरे को हो रहा है बुखार, वो भी तगड़ा वाला, बहुत ज़्यादा तगड़ा वाला हो रहा है। तो उसी की प्रॉब्लम हो चुकी है। बस अब हम क्या कर सकते हैं, मेरा टेलीस्कोप भी भीग गया है। वो तेरे की टेलीस्कोप भीग गया, ओ माय गॉड। उसको एक बार अच्छी तरह से वॉश कर लेना, ड्राई कर लेना। ये तो सपोज भाई के भी, सपोज भैया के भी जो है ना टेलीस्कोप में फंगस लगी उनके टेलीस्कोप के मिरर में, और लेंस में भी लग सकती है, और रस्ट कुछ ज़्यादा ही लग सकती है। तो अभी बात क्या चल रही है यहाँ पे, चलो हम वो बात भी सुन ले थोड़ी।
So we have here a replica of the vault plate. This is the plate that's going, that is part of our vault on the spacecraft. It's protecting all the sensitive electronics from all that radiation.
Okay, तो ये एक प्लेट है, ये प्लेट उनकी क्या कहते हैं, अरे तुम तो कैप्चर करो। अरे मेरे को बुखार हो रहा है ना, क्या कर सकता हूँ। और यहाँ पे क्लाउड्स भी बहुत हो रखे हैं, मैंने पोस्ट भी डाला था। तो हाँ, हम यहाँ पे आ रहे थे। ये जो इन्होंने दिखाया ना, ये प्लेट जो दिखा रहे हैं, ये इसके अंदर लग रहा है, क्या कहते हैं, इनके यूरोपा क्लिपर के अंदर लग रहा है, जो इनको सारे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स के बाहर लग रहा है, ताकि ये सारी की सारी बाहर की चीज़ों से, स्टॉर्म से, और क्या कहते हैं, सन की पावर से बचाए। मेरे यहाँ तो बारिश आ रही है, ओ माय गॉड। इस समय बारिश, मेरे यहाँ तो अभी नहीं आ रही बारिश वैसे। हाँ, मैं कुछ काम कर रहा था, आप भूल गया। मैंने थंबनेल बनाई थी और थंबनेल व्हाट्सएप पे भेजी है खुद को। अरे तो लैगी की चल रहा है।
Well put. Thank you so much. And I mean, one other note that I want to point out is, Jenny has always talked about this, that mix between science and art. I mean, really, there is a connection we should be talking about.
Yeah, I think
science
that
and
it's
art.
so important. In fact, we do ourselves a
अरे यार इतना सा
when
करने
we
को
separate arts and science, because we're connected by curiosity
यार
and wonder.
जियो वालों
Perfect. You are so well spoken. I see why you're the U.S. Poet Laureate.
5G भी नहीं लगवा रहे, हम तो 4G के पैसे देते हैं।
Really appreciate it. Thank you for this beautiful poetry you gave us for
Oh,
this session.
thank you. It's been the honor of my life.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
सेव करो भाई।
You are inspired, really, as Ada was, to write about our universe, and you want to write your own poetry. The code on the screen now is going to take you to a space poetry writing activity brought to you by NASA JPL. All right, another check of the clock. We are now 11 minutes, 51 seconds.
Oh, yeah,
coming
let's
from
go.
liftoff. Jenny, let's ease in a few more NASA social. What do you think?
Absolutely, I'm ready for it.
Okay, let's pull the one up on the screen right now. This one is, how can we convert images to evidence of valid life and organisms? If it's proven, the next steps.
Absolutely. So, Europa Clipper is not a life detection mission, so we're not trying to prove that there is life there now. But what we are trying to do is characterize if this could be a habitable environment. And so, but even so, the images that we're going to get, we learn so much from images. Even just, looking at a photograph of the surface tells us a lot about the geology, why the surface looks the way it does. That can tell us what's going on that causes the surface to look that way. And so that tells us about the emissions.
जियो
So there's a lot
की
we can
ऐसी
infer
की
from the
तैसी,
images
हाँ
we
मैं
get.
जियो वालों को गोली मार दूंगा। मेरा नेट नहीं चलता कभी भी सही, गेम में भी बीच में छूट जाता है, बदतमीज जियो वाले। एक तो पैसे दो 800 रुपए। चलो 10 मिनट बचे हैं बस, only 10 minutes left और भी। और सबसे पहले जब तक हम इसमें एक वो डाल देता हूँ मैं, एक सेकेंड। Hey, cancel. Tell.
And that begs the question of why. So, that was one of the the
कितना
new
लैग हो
science
रहा है
questioning that we had
यार
that
कितना
led us to
लैग
believe
हो
that there was
रहा
water
है
underneath the ice.
अरे
Right?
हटना यार
We know Europa. Well, it is Jupiter's fourth largest moon and only slightly larger than our moon. It's
मैं
really,
हाई सो
really
स्पीड
cold
बन
at Europa.
जाऊंगा
Surface temperatures
कंप्यूटर
range
तोड़
from
दूंगा
about
अपना
minus 210
मेरे को
to
बहुत ज़्यादा
minus
गुस्सा आता है
370 degrees Fahrenheit.
यार अगर हर
Scientists
बार
estimate
ऐसा
this
ही
ice shell is 10
क्लाउड्स
to
आए तो
15 miles
मैं
thick.
जुपिटर को
Because of
कैप्चर
all that
कर
ice,
ही नहीं
Europa is 6 times
पाऊंगा
brighter
क्विट कर दूंगा अरे ऐसा क्यों भाई
spacecraft now on internal power. There is strong
आपको
evidence of our
परफेक्ट
ocean,
वो अपना
of an ocean
टाइम
that icy
को
crust
देखना
that
पड़ेगा
could
ओ माय
hold
गॉड
over twice the
मैं डर
volume
गया
of
मेरा
Earth's
50% नेट खत्म
and
होने
then
की वजह से
Europa is Jupiter every 2.5 Earth days with the same side always facing the planet. That is super fast.
3.5. Think
Okay,
about that for a second. 3.5
customization.
to orbit Jupiter. That's so fast.
Yeah. All right, let's take a
अरे
look at
एक
the
बार
launch countdown
ये
again. We are
स्टार्ट
now
करने के
9
बाद लाइव
minutes
होने
and
के बाद
counting until
ये नहीं
Europa
चेंज
Clipper
हो सकते
launches.
क्या
And no exclusive speakers
एक
right now,
सेकंड में
but
वापस
weather
से करता हूँ
conditions are
फिर वापस से
fantastic.
लाइव करूँ
Your screen right there. Jenny, how are you feeling?
I am just absolutely buzzing. Like very enthusiastic, a little bit nostalgic.
What is this?
Just so excited
What
to
the
get Clipper
hell
up in
is
space
this?
where it belongs.
Yeah, I know this is super thrilling for you and the team, but this is also a huge moment for astrobiologists and really the scientific community at large.
Absolutely. So astrobiology is kind of the study of how light is distributed around the
Astrobiology,
Earth.
yes.
RP1 load is complete.
And so one of the things that was really exciting about Europa is that it's in our own solar system
Okay,
that can
1,
be
2,
habitable.
3,
And so
boom.
this, going to see it
Yes.
means a lot to the astrobiology community and of course for
What
humanity
is
at
this?
large.
Well, Jenny, here we go with the final moments of the launch countdown. Let's head over
फाइनल
to
मोमेंट से 8 मिनट्स हैं एक सेकंड में ये क्लाउड बहुत ज़्यादा ही हेडेक है हाँ बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा हेडेक है क्लाउड तो ये इतना बड़ा हेडेक है मैं बता नहीं सकता कितना बड़ा हेडेक है इतना बड़ा कि बुर्ज खलीफा छोटी पड़ जाती है इतना बड़ा हेडेक है क्लाउड्स तो
So far, everything else looks tracking okay.
Yeah, everything's proceeding forward with propellant load, and we did hear that stage 1 RP1 is complete on the
PY, if you will.
So
चलो 7 मिनट्स रह रहे हैं लॉन्च होने वाला है
and propellant loading will be finishing up here shortly.
वैसे टाइम तो इसका कुछ और
Get
था
the vehicle ready.
The team at JPL and California
इसका टाइमिंग्स तो कुछ और थी
console for their space. All three go completely filled. Now we await for all three of the LOX tanks inside the first stage booster to get to their full point. You can tell they're most of the way there as you look on your screen
हाँ
there.
चलो लेट्स गो अब थोड़ा ठीक हो गया जियो का नेटवर्क जियो को थोड़ा सुनाना पड़ता है तभी ये नुबड़े जियो वाले ठीक करते हैं नेटवर्क हाँ
Yeah, the
चलो हाँ
team's
ठीक
continuing to
है यार
load
सॉरी
the
बट
second
मेरा
stage
जियो
also
का
with LOX, and we're
इंटरनेट
very
है
close.
कोई
We can
बात
see on
नहीं
the telemetry here
मेरा तो
that
जियो का
the LOX
नेटवर्क
load
है
of 3 boosters is getting near completion. The
चलो
team
5
is
minutes
continuing to follow the
47
procedures
46
look at the
45
vehicle,
seconds बचे
make
हैं
sure that we are good to go for a launch at 12:06.
और
But
मेरे को
things
पता
are
चल रहा है
progressing
कि
per the
स्ट्रीम 10
procedures
मिनट्स
there,
डिले चल रही
and
है
all is looking good for a great launch with this beautiful weather that we have at Launch Complex 39.
Coming up next, we are going to start configuring the tower,
भाई साहब
strong back,
अभी स्टार
back from the rocket. That happens in a little less than a
वही
minute.
तो अभी मिड एयर में पकड़ा था ऐसा इलोन मस्क उसकी कहते हैं
Just heard from the SMD and NOM that the spacecraft is verified on
मैं
internal
भी लाया
power.
रॉकेट
Things are looking good for the Europa Clipper spacecraft.
मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है अच्छा तो ये जो है ना आवाज़ थोड़ी ज़्यादा होगी इसकी
We're also listening to the launch teams as they
यस सर ओके
discuss the data coming in that they're looking at from
Okay.
the rocket.
The teams continue to follow procedure, as I said, and work
मुझे
the
तो किसी को कुछ
loading
बना
of the propellant, finishing up the topping of the 3 boosters and the second stage. As we mentioned earlier, the 3 boosters are expendable fully. They will not be coming back for landing today. So SpaceX is getting the team ready to launch this vehicle today.
As
just heard the call out that the strong back is retracting. That strong back appears to have retracted.
जल्दी ही ओनली 4 मिनट बचे हैं इसको लॉन्च होने में और हम हो रहे हैं खुश और मैं कूद रहा हूँ खुशी के मारे और ये जाएगा यूरोपा और वो मैं स्ट्रीम को लेट देख रहा हूँ ओ भाई 2 मिनट रह रहे हैं 2 मिनट 30 सेकेंड लेट्स गो तब तक हम शूट सॉल्व करेंगे 2 मिनट में तो कर ही दूंगा मैं कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है अरे अरे पूछो ना मैं समझाता हूँ
But we did hear NASA launch manager Tim Dunn tell Charlie Myers, SpaceX launch director, that they are go for launch pending the resolution of this temperature issue. So the team is continuing to work that.
Yes, sir.
And the team will continue to progress forward in their procedure.
And so these discussions are happening very quickly as we are counting down now inside the final 2 minutes until liftoff.
Yes, sir. 2 minutes till
And we just heard that
liftoff.
stage 2 launch load was complete, and the team is working that. And as you said,
वैसे इसके ऊपर लिक्विड नाइट्रोजन गिराई जाती है पानी गिराया जाता है मेरे को अभी तक समझ नहीं आया तक
following their processes and having these discussions.
यार समझा दो क्या
Progressing forward towards a T0 of 12.
हो रहा है अरे सीधी बात है ये भी ये नासा वाले डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि ये जो हमारा यूरोपा क्लिपर है ये रॉकेट ये मतलब लॉन्च होने का कितने समय रह रहा है तो यही बता रहे हैं अभी तो और ये बता रहे हैं इनका स्पेस क्रू क्या करने जा रहा है इसके बारे में और ये इसी के बारे में बता रहे हैं कि बायोलॉजिकल जो इनका मेन मुद्दा है ना इस मिशन का इनका यही है बायोलॉजिकल लाइफ ढूंढ रहे हैं इनको वैसे मेन तो है बायोलॉजिकल लाइफ ढूंढ रहे हैं यूरोपा के ओशंस में यार अब क्या हो गया हटाओ अपने चूहे को हटाओ मेरा चूहा खराब है ग्राफिक्स कार्ड ही सेट यस सर ओके चलो 40 सेकंड्स रह रहे हैं 36 35 34 33 32 31 30 लेट्स गो हाँ तो मैं बता देता हूँ बायोलॉजिकल लाइफ जो इनका मेन है ये ओशन के अंदर ओशन पहले ये काफ़ी टाइम लगाएगा मैंने सुना नहीं अभी तक इसका मैंने ढंग से पर ये काफ़ी टाइम लगाने वाला है 5-6 ईयर्स ऐसे ही ईयर्स में होने वाला है ये मिशन चलो चलो इसको देखते हैं 6 5 4 3 2 1 लिफ्ट ऑफ लेट्स गो लेट्स गो भाई साहब कितनी स्पीड में क्या है ओके इसके 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 स्टेजेस हैं लिफ्ट ऑफ है फिर साइड कोन सेपरेशन है बगल बगल के जो होते हैं फ्यूल के इनको हटा जाएगा फिर सेंटर का कोन जो बीच में नीचे की तरफ होता है उसको हटाया जाएगा सेपरेशन का वैसे इसके बारे में मेरे को ज़्यादा नॉलेज है नहीं वो मैंने अमेरिका में तो डे हो रहा है हाँ अमेरिका में तो शायद अभी 14 चालू हुआ होगा हाँ 14 डे तभी चालू होगा वो भाई सब देखो 1 मिनट में एक क्या कहते हैं ट्रोपोस्फीयर होता है शायद हाँ ट्रोपोस्फीयर के भी ऊपर जाने वाला है ये ओके बाय रॉकेट हाँ अभी बाय बाय रॉकेट होगा और फिर जाके यूरोपा भाई के पास जाएगा यूरोपा किसका मून है मैं तो भूल गया हाँ सर्च करना पड़ेगा मैं भूल जाता हूँ यार यूरोपा है हाँ जुपिटर का मैं सोच रहा यार सेटन का तो चलो सेपरेशन होने वाला है जल्दी ही सेपरेशन होने वाला साइड कौन से सेपरेशन देखो कितनी ज़्यादा स्पीड से जा रहा है ये पहाड़ की या अर्थ की लेयर है, वे सेपरेट होने वाला है। साइड बूस्टर्स, हाँ ये भी कह सकते हैं साइड बूस्टर। आई थिंक जुपिटर, हाँ जुपिटर का है, मैंने भी सर्च किया गूगल पे। देखो 2 मिनट्स में एकदम अर्थ की बाहर आ चुका है एकदम। ऐसा कह सकते हो कि अर्थ की आउटर लेयर कह सकते हो, या फिर थोड़ा सा स्पेस में इसका कदम लग चुका है।
All telemetry is looking very nominal for this flight this morning. Falcon Heavy is performing very well.
एक क्या चीज़ आ रही है नीचे?
Just about 30 seconds away from separating those side boosters. Their engines will cut off first, then they will separate.
आउटर लेयर क्रॉस, हाँ शायद अब आउटर लेयर क्रॉस हो चुकी है। हाँ आवाज़ मैंने कम कर रखी है बहुत ज़्यादा।
That's where we need to get the engine chilled to the proper temperatures before flowing liquid oxygen and RP1 into it. So they're conditioning the engine to make sure things are ready.
मैंने भी एक रॉकेट बनाया था, शुगर और पोटेशियम नाइट्रेट था शायद। लेट्स गो, साइड को निकल चुके हैं।
Those 2 boosters previously flown on Psyche. This will be their 6th flight. We thank you for their service this morning. They did a great job getting Falcon Heavy and Europa Clipper on its way as the center core takes over and continues mission down.
और ये आगे जाए जरा, आगे जाए जरा। लेट्स गो। अभी ये जैसे हमारा वो चंद्रयान 3, हाँ चंद्रयान 3 जैसे मून पे लैंड हुआ था ना, तो शायद ये भी शायद मेरे को पक्का नहीं पता, शायद ये हमारी अर्थ की ऑर्बिट की हेल्प लेके आउट जाए, नहीं तो सीधा के सीधा डायरेक्ट भाग जाएगा, क्योंकि नासा वाले हैं, बहुत पैसा है नासा वालों पे। ओके ये अंदर का दिखा रहे हैं कुछ। सेंटर कौन सेपरेशन हो गया। लेट्स गो।
Getting some applause here at the Mission Directors Center, and there you see the impact engine lighting up.
Next thing up in about 10 seconds will be
ओके तो ये पूरा का पूरा अर्थ की आउटर लेयर क्रॉस कर चुका है, और ये रहा हमारा मेन सैटेलाइट। वो ये जो बाहर की लेयर होती है ना रॉकेट के, वो निकल गई है। और ये मैंने एक चीज़ नोटिस की, ये सिल्वर का क्यों है? ये जो हमारे इंडिया में तक गोल्ड वाला इस्तेमाल होता है। नासा वाले बहुत खतरनाक है। लोडिंग सीन भी दिखा रही है।
Falcon Heavy by SpaceX, but it is required to get us into that parking orbit for that long coast that we have to get ready for the interplanetary trajectory that we're going to need to get Europa Clipper on its way to be our
Okay.
talk about to get
तो 5 मिनट में भाई साहब कितना ज़्यादा ऊपर आ चुका है।
things looking really good this morning.
हाँ बहुत ज़्यादा सही लग रहा है।
Back is performing well and everything looks good thus far in today's mission.
Usually those burns are the other way around, a longer first burn and a shorter second burn, but in this case it is reversed. As we look at some crystal clear views of the impact engine.
वैसे मैंने जो लोग कहते हैं कि अर्थ में सैटेलाइट्स बहुत हैं, और ऐसे दिख नहीं। ओ भाई साहब मैं तो मजाक कर रहा था, अभी सैटेलाइट गई एक। हंटर स्काई बाय बाय बाय।
There we've heard that the flight termination system on the center core has been saved as it heads back to splash down. Things are looking good. I can tell you, Daryl, we had a beautiful weather day for launch, and as we're looking at impact,
हमारा भी चलो बाय बाय होने वाला, 2-3 मिनट में हम भी बाय बाय हो जाएंगे, क्योंकि हमने खाना नहीं खाया। मम्मी से बोल के खाना निकलवा देता हूँ।
No doubt about it, Nick. It was simply gorgeous. We had a hurricane a week ago, but after that pushed out, it brought us in its
तो
way.
लाइव मेरे मुताबिक खोई हुई है आराम
And
से।
now we're in space, dealing with the harsh conditions up there.
चलो मैं लाइव ख़त्म करता हूँ अब, क्योंकि 1 घंटा होने वाला है हमको लाइव करते करते। तो